Have a grease gun that's always empty like mine. Got one of these maybe. Kind of sick of it being, you know, empty every time you pick it up. Well, I finally got to the point where I'm sick of it. So I bought one of these. Unfortunately, it only lasted a few months before it broke. So I got a little video put together here on how to take it apart, troubleshoot it, fix it, and see if we can get it working again. Basically, I took it apart. This thing, and I should have started this a little differently, but this, you know, sits over there like that, and this all sits on this red cover. Sits on the 120-pound keg, which I don't know if it's like a 30-gallon steel drum or what you'd call it, but basically this dip rod goes down in the grease, and this is a pneumatic cylinder with a kind of an oscillating cylinder arrangement with a valve that makes it change direction, goes up and down inside here, and then that moves a plunger inside of here that draws grease in and pushes it out. So depending on what pressure you want at the trigger, this thing can take up to 150 psi. It's a 50 times multiplier, so 50 psi, I'm sorry, 1 psi of air input is 50 psi on this. So 150 times 50, I guess, is 7,500. That's what I read anyway. Anyway, when you hook air to it, this is what it does. It's basically, it's coming out the exhaust port. I already have this cover off here. I took this, they call it the, yeah, it's the valve cover. The valving is in here. I took that off because I was trying to see what was going on or learn a little bit, maybe get it working that one day, and yeah, that wasn't going to happen. So it's turned into a big project now. Okay, so this is what's inside underneath that valve cover. Also of note, it does say to do some maintenance on that to lubricate, remove this plate, fill valve cavity, follow lubrication instructions. I would have never known that until I took this thing apart. But yeah, just basically there's some kind of a plunger arrangement here, and this thing just changes direction of air supply to the piston, causes the piston to go up and down. This is old technology. I mean, this thing is not real old, as can be seen by the fact that it's made in China. I wasn't expecting that from this Lincoln, but I mean, this technology has been used for a long time. I've seen this in really old trucks, actually, for windshield wiper motors. So it's kind of cool. So I'm just going to tear into it. There's actually some paperwork on the internet, and I'll try to include some of that. Actually, one of the things listed in troubleshooting, air motor does not operate. Check air supply, check for broken trip rod, broken toggle. So we have air seepage from exhaust. No, air seepage from air exhaust while pump is not operating. Check valve slide, 83063, seat and gasket. Check trip rod packing, 236835, and gasket, 33039 for cut or damaged packing. The other ones are loss of pressure, volume, or continuous operation of pump when not in normal use, lubricant leaking from weep hole and outlet casting. And that's all they list. Their documentation is okay, but it's not that great for this disassembly process. I couldn't find any videos either, and this is a pretty common pneumatic greaser. I should say it's a Lincoln 82050. It's pretty common, but there's not much out there, so I'm going to try and fumble through a video here and try to help you figure this out. All right, we'll start by taking off the regulator just to get it out of the way. Remove valve cap 11470, which is this. And trip rod pin 11472, which must be inside. All right, let's get this cap out of the way. Okay, and there's a sealing washer there. Trip rod pin 11472. Just comes out of there. There's your little pin. Unscrew 4 nuts. 51009 from tie rods. Here's your 4 nuts. And remove trip rod collar 11471. Okay, we're going to take this off. Here's a trip rod collar. The next instruction says unscrew trip sleeve 11947 from trip rod 90691 and lift air valve casting off of air cylinder. The trip rod is a long rod inside here. So I screwed this trip sleeve all the way in. And as you can see, the trip rod is coming out the end here. So we're just going to unscrew that all the way until it comes off. There's your trip rod, piston and everything. So we're going to take, don't really need this cylinder on here. I don't know if this should just come off. Okay, let's take our cylinder and we'll just put it back where it was, because that's kind of how I was following the instructions. There's a lot of grease splattered all over in here, but I'm guessing that's a good thing. Next is remove packing nut 11904 and packing cap 11905 from air valve casting. There's that. Next is remove valve cover, screws and valve cover, which is this. So that's off already. All right, remove 4 toggle plate screws, 236869. Be these 4 here. Remove toggle assembly 91331, which is this combination. And trip shoe 11475. Okay, there's your toggle assembly and your trip shoe. Next, we remove 4 valve seat screws, 236870. It's these 4 here, and the springs that are over them. And there's the spring, 55138. Valve guide plate, 45605. There's your valve guide plate. Spring-loaded balls in there. And valve slide seat and gasket 83063, which is 3 parts. Looks to be very finely ground. There. Nice heavy rubber gasket seal, still pliable. Next, remove trip rod packing nut 245425 from air valve casting and remove all packing parts. That's a 19 millimeter or 3/4. As you can see, that has some Loctite on it. There's the packing inside there. Packing looks okay. I don't think it would have been leaking as much air as it was if that was in this condition. I'd say it'd have to be blown out. Big rip or something. I don't see that. There's a washer in here and a seal underneath, and I think it's kind of jammed in there with Loctite. I don't want to bend it. But it may not have to come out. But we can try to gently tap it out of there. I'll just use an extension. It should distribute some of the force. There. There, it came loose. Okay, that's the part of the packing. Washer 236616. And inside here appears to be a paper fiber washer 33039, and that looks pretty well destroyed now. So for the troubleshooting part of it, air seepage from air exhaust while pump is not operating. Check valve slide 83063. and gasket. And the gasket looks okay. The valve slide looks okay. There is some hard bits of, I don't know, grease or something in there. I'm thinking maybe with a thorough cleaning, this thing might come back to life. Check trip rod packing 236835 and gasket for cut or damaged packing. I mean, that looks fine. The gasket underneath the washer, I don't know, it could have been blown out. I just assumed that it came apart when I knocked it out of there. It was really firmly in there. Unscrew pump tube from outlet body 40537. This is the pump tube. Okay. Remove air cylinder 61041 and air passage tube 61502 from outlet body. Okay, extend air motor piston rod 11340 out bottom of outlet body. That's the piston rod right there. Place wrenches on air piston bolt 11329 and on wrench flats of piston rod and unscrew piston rod. Here's your two flats right here for the piston rod. Okay, there's your piston. That seal looks okay too. Thread piston rod through gland packing to allow removal of pump tube. I'll have to tip it up a little bit here. Just putting a little upward pressure on the pump tube while threading this. That way the threads won't rip the seal as it comes out. Unscrew gland packing nut 12333 from outlet body and remove all gland parts. Looks like we have like a copper washer in here, sealing washer. Okay, there's a few more steps left that involve disassembling the pump tube. I don't think my problem is in the pump tube, so I'd rather not tear that apart. That's probably a whole nother can of worms that doesn't need to be opened. The problem I feel is somewhere in the air motor of this thing. So what I'm going to do now is clean up all the parts, and I think I'm just going to try and put it back together without a seal kit. The seal kit's pretty expensive. None of the seals really look bad except for that fiber washer, which I'm sure I have one. So I'm just going to try and clean it up and put it back together and see if it works or not. If it doesn't, I'll have to get a kit. If it does, then I'm not going to touch it again for 20 years, hopefully. So I'll get everything washed up, and then we'll get back to putting it back together. All right, here's a new addition to the shop. I got a new parts washer. I know it's probably not a big deal to most people, but I think it's kind of cool. I've never really been a parts washer guy. I always drag everything outside, throw it in a pan of gas, and that's the best solvent I've ever found. But this popped up. Buddy of mine told me about it, and he's like, "You want me to bid on it for you?" I said, "Heck yeah." So I got it for like 50 bucks or so. This is an old Clearflow RK30. Made in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. Not too far away. But I was just going to plug it in here. Just drug it in the shop for the first time. It's going to wash these power greaser parts, maybe. Maybe the kitty too. Should we wash you? Naughty cat. So, it's kind of dirty in there, but trying to find the switch. There's a switch here. Looks like it's kind of been pre-disastered with some kind of nasty swill in there. But that's all right. Works. I just picked up some genuine high dollar naphtha type solvent too, so probably going to run that in there. I don't know what this stuff is. I kind of think it smells like old diesel, but kind of looks like it too. Might have to burn that in the waste oil burner. Anyway, just thought I'd show off one of my brand new tools, new to me anyway. Okay, so our gaskets that seal the cylinder to the pump body are some kind of thin kind of paper stuff. And where they were pinched by the cylinder, they're pretty much destroyed. So I'm going to try to make something different for that. I've got this kind of rubbery stuff here. I've had it for several years. And I guess it doesn't work well that way. It doesn't like to be folded, but I'm just going to cut a couple circles out of that. I measured like 2 5/8 on OD, roughly, and about probably 2 3/8 on the ID. I could probably go 2 3/40, 3/50 maybe. Yeah. Okay, 1 1/56. There, not perfect, but that'll work. First thing, we got to get this packing back in here. I need to clean that out. I cleaned that little fiber washer out of there already. But this needs to get Loctited in place to seal it. So we got to get my parts washing solvent goop out of there. So here's our packing Packing went into this rubber packing nut, and then this was on there, this brass washer. And then I found a fiber washer in my stuff, probably from an old carburetor or something. Seems to be just the right size. Alright, so our fiber washer goes in, brass washer, packing with rubber in there. We're going to use a 609 Loctite. They recommended a 510. It's supposed to be torqued to 10 to 15 foot-pounds. 3/4 inch will go 12, be halfway in between. Come on. Should be 144 inch-pounds. Alright, so we're going to start assembly of the pump outlet body. I've got it clamped in a vise. You take your packing nut, put your steel washer in there. And then the rubber packing goes in there like that. Our brass packing piece is still in there. Copper sealing washer. And then packing goes in. That bottoms out on the copper washer, so just snug that up. Now we're going to put the outlet body back on. There's a copper washer down in there. Put that back on the pump tube. Have to thread that on to the piston rod so as not to damage the packing. The first one went on, now we're on to the second packing. Might have to hold the two flats of the piston rod. Alright, that's in place. We'll leave this exposed with the two flats so that we can put the piston nut in place. But first we'll have to clean these threads, degrease them so that we can put Loctite on there. Alright, next is our air piston bolt. Put a little Loctite on here. Snug that. Now our outlet body can get threaded onto the pump tube. Next we'll put the piston in place. So our big washer, packing, and then the other washer goes on. The little Loctite and the retaining nut. This one is a little loose on here, but that's the way it was. Doesn't seem like that would be correct. But there are no missing parts in the diagram. Our pump air transfer tube. Part of the operation of this pump is this air cylinder traveling up and down in its housing. So this thing basically refills when it goes down, refills the pump cavity, and then when the piston goes up, it pushes grease out. So it goes down, draws grease in from the barrel, up, pushes it out. So when I took this apart, there was a pretty good amount of grease on this bottom side and on the top. So I'm just going to kind of do the same thing with some of this brand new grease I have. Put some on this top side. Okay, now our piston tube goes on. All right, next we're going to put our air valve assembly together. First piece to go in is the rubber sealing washer. Now this one was already had some rust witness marks, so I'm going to put that back in the same way. It does say to put the convex side in, but it's kind of hard to tell which way that is. This side is flat, and that was facing the metal valve body. This side has some little like a relief around these holes, and I can catch it with the screwdriver there. Anyway, that needs to touch the metal valve body. I think that helps seal it better. Let's make sure that's clean. I'll try to put all this back together just the way it was. So that goes in there. This had a little rust on it, so did the rubber washer, so I just scraped it with a razor blade to clean it. Alright, that's going to go in that way. And then you can see the witness marks where the valve was right there. Alright, you're supposed to pack some grease in these. Can't really get it in there afterward. So actually I think we can probably take this slide valve, if I can get it back out, and put it in between these two balls, and they'll hold it in place too. It might be a little difficult to get that together afterward. Let's see, actually we need to have this out. I forgot one part of the instructions was to use like a 1/4-inch drill bit into this hole through the metal valve seat through the rubber and down into the body itself, and that helps align everything. Alright, so now we have our 4 Allen screws with the springs on them. They didn't appear to be Loctited or anything, so we'll just put them in dry. Alright, so it says tighten these to 30 to 40 inch-pounds. Now I think we can put our slide in there. That just goes right in there, goes back and forth. And the ball and screw assemblies are detents. And that's what changes direction of the piston, transfers air from one side to the other. So now we'll put our sealing washer in here. Alright, so next our trip shoe goes in place on top of the valve with your drilled hole up here. We'll put all this on the body, slide this trip rod through here. Make sure your seal doesn't fall off. Get the air transfer tube lined up. We're gonna put some pressure to it, see if it primes. There we go. Seems to be working quite well. That's pretty much the way it worked when I got it, but for some reason it quit working, and the only thing I can figure is that that piston is loose, and I don't know how that could have got loose like that. Oops. So I don't know, somehow that piston got loose or something. I'm not really sure how that's even possible. I mean, there's no way like the piston shrunk almost 1/8 of an inch in usage or whatever. So I don't know, I'm gonna call this a success. I don't think I will buy another one of these. Kind of disappointed that, I mean, these things are almost $1,000 and they're made in China. So I think I'm going to be doing a little research, maybe find an older one that's, you know, made here. I actually had an older Graco before, and that was a good one, but for some reason I decided I didn't need that anymore. It was too big. So then I had a cordless Lincoln grease gun that worked for a long time, but the battery is kind of junk and doesn't hold a charge, and same old stuff. So that one I got sitting around, and it got to the point where I can't get it to pump anymore. Can't get it to prime, can't get it to pump or anything. So, I mean, it works, but it doesn't pump. So all my tricks to get it to prime don't seem to work anymore. So I decided I would get one of these, you know, one of these great big ones. Working on more like skid loaders and stuff now, so you know, you go through a tube of grease pretty quick in one of those handheld ones, and then the thing is empty and you got to go refill it. I thought this would be the upgrade to get me away from that, but it's back working again, so we'll see how long it works. Sorry, GoPro problems. So I'm going to call this a success. It is working. I don't know how long it's going to work, but hopefully it'll help you get through one of these if you want to do a rebuild on yours or try to troubleshoot it. Hopefully this helps a little bit. Again, thanks for watching Al's Service, another video. Like and subscribe. If you like this content, leave some comments down below. I'll definitely give you a reply. All right, thanks again.